Hello friend, welcome to my video. It's been a long time. I shouldn't have left you without a dope beat to step to, but I did, and I'm sorry about that. But here we are, look, Captain Jack, Artisan edition, the new DX. And as you know, I've not really wanted to go through like a big old unboxing or anything. Lots of people do a very good job of that. I don't know if Dean Knight's going to get this in, but if so, I always recommend him. He's great. Or Justin's collection. I'm sure he'll get this in. So for a proper unboxing, go and check one of them boys out. But I've just got this in and I thought I'd do you a quick video on it. Is it better than the previous ones? I suppose that's the question you're wanting to know, isn't it? And yes, it is better than the previous ones. I think everything pretty much is an improvement. Although it's not, I'm going to say, a perfect figure. And we'll have a quick chat about that and what my thoughts are. But he is nice, and if you have not got Captain Jack, I do recommend him. So the base and the wheel there. Wheels are reuse, base parts new. Although, to be honest with you, I'm not overly keen on it, but each their own. It's just a bit of a bummer to pose him on. It's angled, as you can see. And yeah, once you put the wheel on, the wheel sits into this section here. That gives him something to hold on to, and you can put a pole in the back. But I don't know, I think I'd prefer like a flat base. I like the wheel. I always like the wheel on the DX6, but it's exactly the same wheel. And I think I would just prefer like a flat ship floor. But you know, as I said, each their own. And the work on the water is very nice, and some lovely details, little barnacles and whatnot. Get them in focus for you, and some nice rope. So yeah, you know, it's not bad. As I say, I just struggle a bit with the way the angle of it is. Makes it a bit hard, I think, to, well, you can basically do one or two poses, but you haven't really got a great deal outside of that in terms of your choices. As I said, wheel is the wheel. I'm pretty sure it's exactly the same as the DX06 wheel, which, to be fair, was a very good wheel, but that's a lot of years old now, really. I don't know, I wouldn't have minded seeing something updated and different. But the figure itself is the main fella, and there are many improvements. The proportions are lovely. Let's start there, actually. So look, here we go. Proportions are really good. Probably the best proportions. That's helped a lot by the clothes. The clothes are nice. They've done a wonderful job here, because it's quite layered, isn't it? You've got shirt, waistcoat, coat, bits and bobs, and it's a real improvement in terms of that, because everything's very nicely put together. The fabric's very slim. It fits together very well. As you can see, everything falls nicely, hangs nicely. I like the little magnet here, which keeps the scarf piece in place and keeps it sitting nicely. But there is, I mean, I suppose you can hear me say this quite a lot, that it feels a bit just same old, same old. I mean, the hair is nicely done. I went for the rooted hair exclusive Artisan one, but from seeing pictures and videos on him, I don't really think that that's that necessary. And if you wanted to grab the standard one, I think you'd still be pretty happy with it. I mean, how often do you display the back of your figure? And that's where like the most of the extra hair work is, really, as you can see here. But it is nice, and the cloth bandana is lovely. I think they should have gone cloth bandana across the board, whether you've got the Artisan or the regular, because that really does add to realism. I think that it's got no shine. You can see it's fabric. It's got some real nice wrinkles in it, so it works well. And everything is better. I mean, like the belts are better, the details are better, They're not pleather, so they're not going to fall apart on you. So everything is brought up a notch. But like I say, there's a lot of reuse, and some of it's not so great. And I'm still, I mean, it is Captain Jack. No doubt it's a Captain Jack. Let me see if I can focus in on him a bit better for you. I'm going freehand today, so you have to excuse the shakiness. It is, you know, it is Johnny Depp, it is Captain Jack. But it's not as much of a step forward in the likeness as I perhaps would have liked to see. I don't know if we've been spoilt now. You see the stuff that InArt's putting out, and then you compare the price of InArt with one of these big boy hot toys, you know, Artisan and all that, and you know, they're a similar kind of price. And InArt are trouncing hot toys, in my opinion, across the board, really, in terms of proportions, paintwork, hair, sculpts themselves, tailoring, what you get in the package. And I can see the hot toys are trying, you know, they have pulled their finger out and tried to step their game up a bit. You can see that in some of the new releases they've done. They're obviously worried by InArt, which is a good thing, because it means, you know, hopefully we'll all get nicer things. But Captain Jack's a bit perhaps lacking, in my opinion. He could have been more, he could have been better. Which isn't to say he's not good. He is good. And if you've not got a Captain Jack, I would say get this Captain Jack. And like I say, I think you'll probably be just fine with the standard hair version, as lovely as the work on this is, but there's quite a price difference there. Let's just have a better look at some accessories and bits and bobs. Here he is, just for some comparisons here. Here he is next to my custom Tom Baker Doctor Who. He's on a Hot Toys body. I think it was probably the Bruce Banner body. Yeah, fixed neck Bruce Banner body, that one I'm sure. And he's on a stand there, obviously, so give you some idea of scale and difference. Let's just bring in Old Man Indy, another custom figure, but again, Hot Toys body, so it gives you an idea, although I say they're on stands. Jack doesn't need a stand. He's got lovely, nice ankles. He's very solid, very well put together. I do just wonder if we couldn't have had a little bit more something, a little bit more pizzazz. Not that it's bad, just that I think it could have been better. Okay, bear with me a sec. Let's just set you here. You can have an extreme close-up of Tom's scarf for a minute. There you go, look. Let me just pop out his other head. The serious head actually does come on the figure, but I swapped it for the smiling head. I think I'm liking the smiling head better. And let's have a look here at the Are you going to focus for me? Yes, you are. Again, you know, his eyes aren't quite lined up, as you can see. That's my fault. I do find the eyes on this quite tricky. It's quite a deep recess, and you can't really get a finger in there to do it. You really use the little plastic tool. But you obviously, you know, that's not Hot Toys' fault. That's just the nature of the size of his head and how it all goes together. Same old magnet system for the head into the hair, just a normal peg into the body. Let's see what else we've got. Hang on a sec. Jack's hat, which is again, you know, an improvement. Got a nice soft leathery feel to it. I'm not a fan of this hat, to be honest, from this movie. I prefer the earlier look hat, which was smaller. This is a little bit more of an oversized hat. And while, you know, it is true to the movie and screen accurate, etc., not my favourite look for Jack. It'd be nice if we got, you know, a Jack Sparrow figure from the first movie or the second movie. But like I say, it's nicely done. It's well weathered. It feels good in your hand. Nothing wrong with it. Just my personal choices for the earlier hat. Now, something that I've seen people be a bit cross about is the sword, because the sword was all metal. I think the DX6 and the 15 both had the metal sword, didn't they? And that was very nice. And this one is plastic, but I can understand that from the point of view of posability, because the metal swords are heavy. It puts strain on the joints, and then you can find that he's like flopping down. But again, at this price point, would it have hurt them to give us two swords? A plastic one, if you know you wanted to put him in a sword up pose for a long time, and a metal one, you know, for like a different display option, if you wanted to, like, you know, pop it on the stand or have him leaning on it. I think that would have been quite nice. But I'm not mad about that. But again, if they want to compete with in-art, I think that they're going to have to start giving us things like, you know, two swords, one plastic, one metal, because it's what you expect, isn't it? Well, I expect it anyway. And I'm quite an easygoing kind of fella. You've got the same selection of hands you've seen before with your Jack Sparrows. And again, nicely done. Can I get it to focus? Come on. There we go. Yeah, nicely done. The wraps, nice. Real fabric as before. Rings are nice. Tattoos are nice. Not quite as detailed, perhaps, as again you'd see with an in-art hand now. Like I say, perhaps we've been a bit spoiled, or perhaps just Hot Toys have been lazy for years, and now they've got some, you know, ones that they've got to try and catch up with. But he's a nice looking fella. Something else I've seen a few people say is that the buttons are printed on the waistcoat now, but again, it helps everything lay so nicely, and it helps it all just sit well on the figure. So I'm not mad about that. It looks good, and the way they've done them, they're slightly raised, the printed buttons. Unless you're really up close, you're not going to notice. See, you don't get that close, do you? You know, normal viewing angle, they look grand. I do like that cloth bandana, and the hair is nice. I was worried it'd be a bit too bulky, but no, it's not. I don't think. I think it's all right. But like I say, I think you'd be just as happy really with the standard edition, because it has got some bits of real hair in amongst the rubbery plasticky bits, and I think that sells the realism quite well from what I've seen. It never really bothered me with my DX15 Captain Jack. That was like a mixture of real hair and fake rubbery hair, and that worked well, I thought. So, but this is nice, and if you want to spring the extra, I think you'll appreciate it, but not necessary. Other than that, he comes with a chest with gold in it. He comes with the new lantern, which is quite nice. He comes with this, which is, again, this is a reuse from the last one, and my biggest issue with this is the seam marks. Can we get a look at that? That isn't good enough, is it? I mean, appreciate, you know, from that view on, you don't see them, but if you've got him holding it in any way, you're going to see that. It's really ugly, really lazy. Paintwork's nice, but I don't like that seam. And again, it's a reuse piece, like a lot of the stuff from this set is. Which, fine, you know, you've got the moulds, you've got the stuff there. That's fine to reuse stuff. But if you're reusing it and doing a cheap deal for yourself, you ought to be chucking in some extras too, didn't you? Some, you know, more nice things for us to make up for the fact that, you know, you're saving your money. As I said, so you've got, yeah, typical lot hands, the guns, the compass, all reuses. I'm 100% sure. There's the new lantern. I haven't put the batteries in it. But it's a nice piece. Handle's fixed, which is perhaps a bit of a shame. I've watched that. I reckon you could break that quite easily because it's got no movement in it. Whereas if it was hinged, at least it would have a bit of freedom. And I think it would help you, say you're holding it up, it could tilt slightly. And then, you know, look perhaps a bit more realistic for photography and posing and such. But yeah, it's all right. It's nice. It's nicely painted. So I'm not going to put the batteries in because I've got shaky hands and that's a bit too fiddly for me. And I'm never going to be using the light up feature, I don't think. Always add it on if you take a toy photo later on. There's lots of good apps for stuff like that. But yeah, he's nice. Like I say, I'm not hating on him. I'm not trying to spoil anybody's times, but I just think he's a bit lazy. I think they could have, you know, ramped it up a notch. It is better than the last DX jack, but then you'd expect it to be because that was a few years ago now, wasn't it? It just needs a bit more, I think, to be a good set. Or maybe I'm just being miserable. I'm not usually miserable. I'm usually quite, you know, easy going with these things. But just thinking as I film, you know, I'm sorry it's probably a bit of a shaky video. As you know, if you've watched me before, the shaky hands are an issue. Well, that's probably enough for a quick look, isn't it? Hopefully it's answered your question of, is he worth it? And yeah, he is. If you know, a big fan of Captain Jack and Pirates of the Caribbean, or if you haven't got a Captain Jack, well, you can't be a 10 out of 10, I'm afraid. Or even a 9, maybe an 8. What they've given us is very nice, and there are improvements, but there's problems with it too. I just think it's a bit of a lazy release. Right, you guys have all been good while I haven't been about. Got some more stuff to review soonish. I'll do a longer view of this if you want and lay everything out nicely if you're interested. But I think, you know, as a quick overview goes, it gives you a look at him. And that's what you want, isn't it? Just to get an idea of the quality of it. Anyway, I hope you're all well. Look after yourselves. Be kind to each other. Be kind to yourself, most importantly. Any questions or anything you want to ask, stick them in the comments. I'm happy to chat. And I'll see you soon. Take care all.